Thank you, Mayor. Thank you, council members. Brittany Roethemeier on behalf of Fayette Alliance. I just want to thank each of you for your consideration of the Mint Lane topic. There are a lot of people here that care about it. There are a lot of people that reached out to you. It's difficult, as you all well know, for people to come down to City Hall at 3 o'clock on a Tuesday. So I just want to say thank you to everyone in the audience here who's taken time out of your day, frankly, on any issue, but also on this Mint Lane issue. And if you all are here to oppose the relocation of Mint Lane Farm or a Mint Lane Pump Station, will you all please raise your hands? I just want the council to see how many folks are here. This decision before you all today is about more than a pump station. It's about policy, it's about precedent, it's about process. And frankly, this matter is pretty simple, although we've made it to be pretty complex. All the comments and all the discussion that you all have been a part of can be distilled into a few main points: addressing the need for the neighbors, fiscal responsibility, and setting consistent and strong policy. All of these points make it clear why upgrading sewer facilities at the existing Mint Lane location is the best choice for the Lexington community at large. There are a few things that have been raised throughout this discussion that are confusing the main issues. This issue isn't about creating housing affordability or attainability. We expanded the USB in 2023, just 3 years ago, to work on this. This isn't about engineering constraints, which are manageable and already accounted for in the designs. Karst topography, limestone under the soil, is present throughout the area, which is exactly why farms exist throughout this corridor. This isn't about clean water, because we know that fixing Mint Lane where it is achieves that for everyone. This isn't about errors in a property survey. It's not about other situations where infrastructure is outside the USB. We know those were all done to fix a situation that didn't have another solution. None of them were done to accommodate for future unplanned growth. This isn't about difficulties in purchasing land. LFUCG will have to negotiate with Fayette County Public Schools or with the Bells, and we'd all be naive to think that either party won't have costs and conditions. It's been mentioned to me that one of our elected officials went to the school board to discuss this one-on-one behind the scenes. I think this is concerning because it circumvents the idea that this is a public conversation and a public issue. I want to get to the real issues here. The first is need. The flooding and odor issues that you all have heard about ad nauseum need to be addressed. It's abundantly clear that making sewer improvements at Mint Lane fully meet the conditions of the consent decree and will resolve serious flooding and odor issues that have impacted surrounding areas, and they'll fully serve new expansion area 1, which is the only area close by where the community has approved new growth. The second is fiscal responsibility. Upgrades at Mint Lane can do all these things at a significant discount to the taxpayer. The updated presentation indicates that that's nearly $7 to $9 million less than relocating facilities to Mill Ridge Farm. This choice uses existing infrastructure that we've already built and invested in instead of building completely new. Lexington has nearly 3,000 acres of approved new areas for growth and other neighborhoods throughout the community that need support and need infrastructure investment. Why would we spend $8 million more than we have to in a single location where we haven't identified a need yet for future growth? We owe it to our taxpayers to explore this option to its fullest, and not doing so is frankly a disservice to our community. The additional $8 million that LFUCG is proposing spending, talking about today, would ultimately personally benefit 2 private landowners who happen to be related: the owners of New Expansion Area Number 1 and the owners of Mill Ridge Farm, neither of whom would have to pay for their own infrastructure when they develop if this sewer is moved. Their personal benefit would be paid for by every Lexingtonian in this room who has paid sewer fees since the EPA consent decree in 2011. That simply isn't right. Why are individual property owners trying to undermine engineers on this topic? The third issue is strong and consistent policy. In 2023, the Mayor's Advisory Group studied where to expand. They talked about Mill Ridge. They voted to exclude it. The Planning Commission confirmed that. The community confirmed that. Since 2023, Mill Ridge has continued their plans to develop their property. In June 2025, I was personally invited to attend a design brainstorming session for Mill Ridge Farm, which is outside the urban service boundary. I know that all of you all received a copy of this. I've also included it as an attachment to be entered into the record. I know you all are invited, but did not attend on the advice of the law department of the city. Community members, neighbors, and elected officials have been invited to Mill Ridge to discuss and view ongoing development plans. I know that some of you have gone there personally. It's their right to pitch it to anyone that they'd like to. Their proposed ideas for development are well done. They're sophisticated, they're engaging the community, and all of these are good things under most other circumstances. But this land isn't inside the urban service boundary, and it's not the process that our community relies on. We don't make decisions about infrastructure based on the sophistication of an individual development design. Designs change, infrastructure investments do not. 2 months after that June design event, in August 2025, the first public conversation about relocating these sewer facilities came up. But for this development plan, there would be no discussion, and the original plans to upgrade Mint Lane in its current location would have moved forward. We know that plan's possible because it was always the plan. Mill Ridge intends to develop their farm. They've told the majority of you all about it. The farm is outside the urban service boundary, and now, today, you're evaluating a decision to relocate the sewer to the very same property. And then there's the Preservation and Growth Management Program. The process is strong. It's why Fayette Alliance supported it and repeatedly applauded your efforts from this podium. You all are and should be proud of the process. I've also included as a handout Section 5 of this process, our very own process that we adopted in February. Under Section 5, there's only 3 criteria that must be met when a property owner applies to be included in the urban service boundary. One of those 3 criteria is that a property must have access to sewer connections to be considered for expansion. Relocating these sewer facilities onto the Mill Ridge property that's proposed for development would fulfill this single most significant criteria for future expansion at the taxpayer's expense, at the expense of everyone in this room. The questions before us are simple. Are we going to go against decades of city policy and choose to relocate infrastructure outside the urban service boundary? Are we going to pay more tax dollars to relocate and build new instead of using what we have? Are we going to use technicalities, construction challenges, and boundary arguments to justify intentionally placing infrastructure outside the boundary? And are we going to move city infrastructure to the same property as a site-specific plan for development at the taxpayer's expense? That's what relocating these facilities would achieve. On the other hand, are we going to fix flooding, odors, and make sure our neighbors have clean water while using less tax dollars to do so? Are we going to invest in our existing infrastructure? Are we going to support longstanding policies to keep infrastructure inside the urban service boundary? No option is without challenges or negotiations, but relocating infrastructure to Bowman Mill demonstrates how boundaries, just like ours, erode, not all at once, but one decision at a time. Upgrading Mint Lane facilities where they are reinforces the integrity of the urban service area and sends a very clear message that we mean what we say about managing growth and using taxpayer dollars efficiently. Thank you.